public domain. I guess we'll learn someday if this podcast gets taken down or not. Welcome to the...
Hang on, there's a van pulling up outside with FBI on the side.
Ooh, yeesh. They're coming for us, huh? They finally found me?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, carry on.
I was just going to say, welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. This is another bonus pod for all our Australian listeners. I don't give a shit about people from Chicago or Latvia. You're all from Australia to me. That just makes it easier in my small American brain. So,
if you ain't from here, you don't deserve to be spoken about.
I mean, the people from Chicago are from here. Where's here?
I don't know. I guess I don't consider Chicago a real place.
It's not part of America?
No, I'm fairly certain after that Sunday night game, Chicago imploded on itself.
Yeah, they're in a state of anarchy now. They recognize no formal government.
No, but yeah, let's. We had a few requests at least. I didn't go back and count, but it sounded like at least one person wanted it. So therefore, we made it happen. Just an opportunity for us to go over the Dynasty League Blood, Sweat, and Beers rosters. We have set up our own own ranking system, and Garlic and I exchanged some text messages this afternoon about how difficult his is, as well as how difficult mine is. And so I incorporated the Dynasty ER's rankings. And if you're not familiar with them, they have their own website, dynastyer.com, as well as their own podcast, but don't listen to them. We're smarter. Probably not. But their ranking is on a 0 to 100 scale.
0 to 100, huh?
Yes,
that's a lot of numbers.
They use decimals, so we got to step our game up.
Decimals fucking scare me, dude. Ugh.
Yeah, I even had to when I was typing up the spreadsheet, I had to reduce the number of decimals.
What?
Yeah.
How many decimals were there? What place did we go to?
Well, when I did the averages for their rankings, it came to 6, and I was like, "Holy cow! I can't count that high." So I lowered it to 1.
I respect it.
Awesome. But without further ado. Do you want to kick us off with what's in store?
Well, sure. So do we want to just like go over the teams first and then give our personal rankings later? Like we just want to break down them team by team and then kind of give where we rank them later? Or what's your thought process on that?
Well, I think we could do it all, like we can talk about one team at a time, do our ranking, do the Dynasty R ranking. I'm fine either way.
All right. Well, Erect Dicker is here top on the list, so might as well start there, right? Oh, did he reorder the players a little bit based on their...
I did it based on the Dynasty ER because I figured they get paid to do it, so they're a little bit smarter and better at it than us.
Sure, well, that fucks with my brain a little bit, but it's all right. All right, so Erect Dicker, his best players, allegedly Odell Beckham. Then he's got Keenan Allen, Jerick McKinnon, Russell Wilson, Rashad Penny, Darius Juice. We're going Juice. Way cooler. Lee Sean, Shady McCoy, DJ Moore. I mean, I won't sit here and list the whole team, but Isaiah Crowell, Marcus Mariota.
Sony Michel.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as a personal breakdown goes of this team, I like a couple of the players. I like Keenan Allen. I like Jerick McKinnon. I certainly think Russell Wilson, in terms of fantasy perspective, I think Russell Wilson's the best player on your team for sure. I like Shady. He's getting old, though, and he might end up in jail here. DJ Moore, I think, could be great. And Isaiah Crowell, I think, showed us Monday night. He's still got plenty left to give. But
yeah, no, I think I'm looking at your rankings. And do you want to explain your ranking system a little bit? Just what I'm seeing here as far as your ratings. You don't have Odell Beckham with a number at all. You have Russell Wilson with a 2, Jerick McKinnon with a 1. Were you just mashing the keyboard or what's going on?
So no, Josh, we're preparing a clip here for you, and this will explain everything. Okay, it's going to be an unnecessarily long segment, but this is a bonus pod, so I don't really give a shit. Okay, this is going to be about 2 minutes of your life, and it's buffering. So
if you're looking at a straight shooter, America, I tell it like it is. I calls them like I sees them. I will speak to you in plain, simple English. And that brings us to tonight's word. Truthiness. Now, I'm sure some of the word police, the wordinistas over at Webster's, are going to say, hey, that's not a word. Well, anybody who knows me know that I'm no fan of dictionaries or reference books. They're elitist. Constantly telling us what is or isn't true or what did or didn't happen. Who's Britannica to tell me the Panama Canal was finished in 1914? If I want to say it happened in 1941, that's my right. I don't trust books. They're all fact, no heart. And that's exactly what's pulling our country apart today. Because face it, folks, we are a divided nation. Not between Democrats and Republicans, or conservatives and liberals, or tops and bottoms. No. We are divided between those who think with their head and those who know with their heart. Consider Harriet Miers. If you think about Harriet Miers, of course her nomination's absurd. But the president didn't say he thought about his selection. He said this.
I know her heart.
Notice how he said nothing about her brain? He didn't have to. He feels the truth about Harriet Miers. And what about Iraq? If you think about it, maybe there are a few missing pieces to the rationale for war, but doesn't taking Saddam out feel like the right thing? Right here? Right here in the gut? Because that's where the truth comes from, ladies and gentlemen. The gut. Do you know you have more nerve endings in your stomach than in your head? Look it up. Now, somebody's gonna say, I did look that up and it's wrong. Well, mister, that's because you looked it up in a book. Next time, try looking it up in your gut. I did. And my gut tells me that's how our nervous system works. Now, I know some of you may not trust your gut yet, but with my help, you will. The truthiness is, anyone can read the news to you. I promise to feel the news at you.
See that, Josh? I'm not interested in your facts. All my rankings come from the truthiness of it all. And, that's what my gut feels. For whatever reason, when I was looking at this list, Odell Beckham didn't excite me. That's why I didn't put a number by his name.
The truth is he put up 110 yards with 11 receptions. I think he deserves at least
You're going to
some
quote
points.
one week at me, Josh? That's all you got? 1 week?
We've only had 1 week of the 2018 season.
Well, how long has he been in the NFL?
I don't know.
All right, well, you're not even...
Well, okay, so fine. You are what we would like to... I'm trying to remember what it was last year when they had the power rankings. I think it was... oh, God, who was it with the feeling index?
Yeah.
The team that had, the Browns at number 10 in the power rankings because they felt better about it. That is you.
That's fine. I told you. I played that super long clip. That's my gut. That's what my gut's telling me, Josh.
So we've got, basically what we've got here is Garlic's The Onion rankings. Josh's, meh, I put a little bit of time rankings. And then Dynasty ERs, they put way too much time rankings. But yeah, going over back to what we actually are supposed to be talking about. Erect Dickers. Their roster. Top to bottom, decent team. Your rating system, there are players with zeros. And to explain a little bit about my ratings, I did 0 through 3. And so guys who didn't get points either have a shaky history, not necessarily consistent. Ones would be young guys who are looking to contribute, maybe not now, but in the future. Twos are going to be guys who have proven that they are an asset and can continue to be assets. And then threes, very rare to hand out. They're going to be the guys that are the generational talents, the guys that you have top 5 in startups, top 10 or top 5 in startups. I don't even know how many threes I handed out here. But Odell Beckham, top of the rankings. For Dynasty ER, top of my rankings for your team. Clearly a team that you built, or he's a guy you picked in the first. I love Keenan Allen as well. I do agree with Garlic there. Jerick McKinnon is one of those guys. On my ratings, I gave a 1, but he's someone that I feel wasn't utilized properly in Minnesota, and Kyle Shanahan's offense could use that a little bit better. And it's not that Minnesota had a bad playbook for him. It's just they had Dalvin Cook come in. They had Adrian Peterson. So it's like Jarrett got kind of, game planned out sometimes. But yeah, Russell Wilson is a fantasy beast, putting up QB1 numbers last year with, I don't even know if he even had a full offensive line.
No, he usually doesn't.
But overall, Erect Dicker on my ranking system, I have you at 5th best team. And I don't know if we want to do this now, but should we just do that every time we go through a team?
I think we can. I say we just give our ratings now and then go through. I mean, we can do it now, but then also do a review.
Yeah,
at the
we'll do a
end.
review at the end as well. So you're fifth on mine. As far as Dynasty ER goes, with their grading scale, the entire roster, your average is 78.4, which puts you in first place for their rankings. And then Garlic has you in third on his rankings.
Yep, third out of the league. And then, so since Josh went through a spiel on his rating system, I'll be very brief. So since I used the truthiness system, I gave 2 points to players I really like with my gut. I gave 1 point to player I medium like with my gut, and then I just didn't rank anyone else. It's not like I gave out a bunch of zeros or negative scores. It's just, if you stood out to me on the sheet, I gave you points. If you didn't, that was it. So so my score was an 8 then, which was third out of our league.
Perfect. Moving on, Bears fan. I saw you change your team. This is a closed circuit to you. I saw you change your team name to Sad Bears fan after Sunday night's game, and I do feel like you have every reason to be sad after that game. Just like I had every right to be sad during that first half. I was just about to go down to rehab for the amount of alcohol I was about to consume during that first half, especially when Rodgers went down. But putting on my reasonable hat, I don't think you have any reason to be sad as a Bears fan. Your defense is just scary, and I feel bad for Minnesota with their offensive line when Khalil Mack comes to town with more conditioning.
God, that is a scary thought.
Mitch Trubisky fell apart in the second half, but he's playing at Lambeau. It's the 100th season for the Packers. The atmosphere is just crazy when Rodgers walks back out. If he didn't have nerves at all in that second half, then he's not human. There's a lot to say about that. Allen Robinson looks solid. Anthony Miller didn't do a whole lot, but I'm really excited about him, and I see you with him on your roster. And so I would change your team name away from Sad Bears fan to just Bears fan, because every team's going to have their sad moments. I'm a Packers fan. Look at last year.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know how deep you went down on this roster, but so Saquon Barkley was number 1 there. Oh, all right. Can't let my computer go to sleep here. Saquon number 1. I gave him a 1. Allen Robinson. Jordan Howard's the guy I liked. Marvin Jones I gave 1 point. Demaryius Thomas I gave 1 point. Andrew Luck I gave 1 point. His stat line, I didn't get to watch the Colts-Bengals game, but he's back out there, he's playing, so that he could deserve a 2, certainly, if he can get back to the form he used to be in. The only player I had on your team with a 2 was Jordan Reed, and I understand that's a controversial pick, but Jordan Reed has won me championships in the past when the dude's healthy. He's an absolute beast. So, as long as he can stay on the field.
The rule of 86.
The rule of 86, what's that?
If he's healthy, he's in your starting lineup because he can change a game just by himself. So yeah, I made fun of that ranking, but he is kind of one of those players that you do have starting when he's healthy.
Yep. So I guess my only other note was that I gave 1 point to Mitch Trubisky. I thought he looked really good last night. And then I gave 1 point to Pharaoh Cooper, who was actually at the bottom of the Dynasty ER rankings. But so I gave you your roster an overall score of 9, which I believe is ranked second, because I think there's a tie. So yep, you're second. To me, you have the second best roster in our league, Mr. Bears fan.
Mr. Bears fan. Yeah, going through a little bit of mine, I gave Saquon a 1, but he probably deserves a 2. I love Allen Robinson, and when the Bears landed him and he didn't go to the Packers, I was very mad. I think that people forget just how dominant he was with Blake Bortles throwing him the ball a couple years ago. I think he led the league in 20-plus yard receptions. He was just a stud his rookie season. I have him in another dynasty league, so I gave him a 1 just because I'm not sure what he's going to do in this offense. With different weapons, it's a run favorite game. That's why I gave Jordan Howard a 2, because I think he's a stud. I love him. I also gave Demaryius Thomas a 2 because I read somewhere that he's had just multiple seasons with 1,000 yards, 90 catches, and then touchdown production was there as well. I also, Derrick Henry gets a 1 just because I don't necessarily see him as much of a bell cow as other people do. Who is it? Deion Lewis is in town now. He actually got a touchdown in the Sunday afternoon game that ended up being Sunday night because of the rain delay. But I do like Andrew Luck when he's healthy. I mentioned loving Anthony Miller. I drafted him in every single one of my leagues. every single one this year because I think
Except
that
this
he's
one, apparently.
Yeah, except this one because you took him the round before I wanted him. And so I'm really afraid if he pans out, I'm really afraid for the future of the Packers because their defense is already shaky. But my dynasty teams are set in the other leagues. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. I like Will Fuller. Touchdown production is there. And then, the rest of your team, I gave, some ones out there, but the big guys are Jordan Howard, Demaryius Thomas, and then Andrew Luck. My ranking system got you in third place on mine with 17. And then the Dynasty ER, for some reason, Garlic and I like you a lot more than Dynasty ER. Dynasty ER has you at 10, but that's because with the average system, Farrell Cooper dragged you down a hell of a lot. So,
yeah, Farrah Cooper was 38?
Yeah, out of 100. So I don't know if he was just an auto draft at the end or what, but I thought he had some production or some value, but they apparently do not. Moving on, Garlic, do you want to talk about touching my pants?
Yeah, TD my pants. All right, so Todd Gurley, obviously a stud. My point system, the 2 was the highest. I definitely gave Todd Gurley that 2. Todd Gurley won me a championship last year. Love Todd Gurley. Tyreek Hill is next. So, again, these are all ranked by the Dynasty ER. But so next is Tyreek Hill. I gave him a point. I think he's worthy. After that is Devontae Freeman. I only gave him a 1 just because, obviously the dude's a beast. And I think he's helped me win some games before. But he seems to have some nagging injuries or, he misses time a lot, so that kind of sucks. Sterling Shepard and Jimmy Garoppolo are next on the list. I didn't give them any points. I whatever. Jimmy G could be good, but it's hard for me to judge him based just off that last game because he's playing like the number 1 defense. But anyways, Cam Newton, I gave a 2. I think that dude's a fantasy beast. He's been like top 5 the past 3-5 years or whatever. The only question mark there is, will the referees continue to allow this man to get absolutely mugged each and every week? For some reason, I don't know. Chris Hogan, I didn't give a point to. Roby Anderson, I gave a point to. And that's kind of the last player on your team I gave a point to. Rashard Matthews, Paul Richardson, Jimmy Graham, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. There's too much for me. Again, my point system was just based on truthiness or kind of my gut. So I only gave your roster 7 points. Obviously I could be wrong there in a lot of aspects, but a lot of your guys on your team are either old or they're unproven or like I said, there's just some question marks around them. So in my rankings, you got 7 points, and that puts you in 6th place in the league. There's a 3-way tie at 7 points. So I gave you the edge just because I think your team was a little more diversified with how I distributed the points. It wasn't just one position. It was all your positions had at least a point.
Yeah, basically what Garlic said with Todd Gurley, obviously one of the best, if not the best player for Dynasty. He is my all-time favorite player to watch. I have his jersey.
All-time favorite, Josh, in the history of forever? Or just
in the history of right now, yeah. And so he's one of those guys that it's just fun to watch. I loved him coming out of college, drafted him in a dynasty league before, and then loved getting him in redraft leagues as well. But now I don't ever get the first pick to get him. Tyreek, I have him as a 3 MI scale, so one of those guys that you absolutely want to have. I also gave Tyreek Hill a 3, a little bit. Kind of, he's one of those guys that you probably don't think is a 3 in a first round draft, but for PPR leagues, and if you watch the game on Sunday, you saw just how electrifying he is. He's another guy that's just super fun to watch. So I gave him a 3 on there, most likely a 2, but I was feeling generous at work. Devonta Freeman, I gave a 2. Tevin Coleman, he steals some of his thunder, but Devonta, when he's healthy, is a great fantasy asset. Sterling Shepard, I like a lot. I think that he's going to do some good things. So I gave him a point. And then, I just going down the list here, I kind of agreed with Garlic on a lot of different things there. So in my scale, my ranking system, you got an 18. Which puts you at, what's your team name again? TD my pants. Which puts you at 4th. Nope, never mind. That's not on mine. Put you at 2nd. Sorry, numbers. So you're 2nd on my list here. You're 4th on Dynasty ERs with an average of 75. The reasoning for that is because they didn't have Rashard Higgins graded. So I don't know if that's a 0, and so that's what he got factored in at. Futbuckers. Play on words. I like it. Top of the list. You ever heard of Alvin Kamara, Garlic?
You know, Josh, I don't think you'll ever let me forget about him. So, yeah, I fucking heard of him.
All right. No, I'm just curious. You could have had him, right? You took Mike Williams first overall last year in the rookie draft?
Yeah, I also didn't know who the fuck Alvin Kamara was, so I did take Mike Williams last year.
Apparently I did when I took Corey Davis and him in the first round. So I guess I did at least. Alvin Kamara is top of your list, as he should be. Then followed by Stephon Diggs, Juju Smith-Schuster, Juju B as my wife calls him, David Njoku, Tyler Lockett, Marquise Goodwin, Matt Badford, Baker Mayfield, Tevin Coleman, Dak Prescott, Josh Doxson, Eric Ebron. So yeah, that's kind of a run through on kind of your top 10 or so. I gave Alvin Kamara a 3. I feel he deserves that. He's just the most electrifying player right now, I think. I don't know. I said that about Tyreek Hill, but Alvin Kamara is so much fun to watch. He's fun to listen to. He's got a grill. I guess he walks. I guess he walks home from home games. So if you're ever in New Orleans and you're playing against him and you want to take out his kneecaps, I guess. I gave Stephon Diggs a 2, as much as it hurt me to. Juju Smith-Schuster, I gave a 2 as well, just because he proved he could play in the NFL at 20 years old, 19 years old when he was up last year, 20.
I don't know.
Yeah, and he's still producing this year. David Njoku, I think, is going to be a solid tight end in Cleveland.
There's no such thing as solid in Cleveland, Josh.
I guess. Tyler Lockett, he had that devastating injury, but I think he's going to come back. He did come back and score a touchdown on Sunday. Marquise Goodwin, fun to watch. Fastest guy I've seen play. Matt Stafford, he can be solid, but he can also put up games like he did on Sunday as well. Baker Mayfield, I think, is going to be the quarterback of the future in Cleveland after this year. I think that what they said about Tyrod being a 1-year filler is accurate.
I'm sorry, Josh. That's Tyrod, as you wouldn't let me forget last time.
Oh, yeah, Tyrod Taylor. I think he's just a 1-year filler. And then Tevin Coleman, he vultures touchdowns. I think he had 8 last year, and he's listed as their second running back. So that's still quite a lot of production there. I like Jamal Williams. I gave him a 1, even though he's a little bit further down there on your list. But the reason I gave him a 1 is because when you're looking at the running backs in Green Bay, he's the best pass protection back, so he's going to be on the field a little bit more because that offense loves to pass the ball with their quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron, and so they're going to want someone in there that can protect him, as we saw on Sunday. So you scored a 15 on my rating scale. I guess Garlic hasn't even spoken yet, so go Garlic.
Yeah, so Josh already went through your roster pretty well. I gave Alvin Kamara 2 points, which is the highest on my scale. Tyler Lockett, I threw a point. Matt Stafford, I threw a point. Tevin Coleman, I threw a point. And then Deshaun Jackson, I threw a point. There's plenty of other big names on your team. I'm not really sold on Dak Prescott, though. Adrian Peterson's obviously getting pretty up there. Damian Amendola. Bilal Powell and TJ Yeldon definitely have splashy potential. They're not far away from being a starter. I know Bilal Powell and TJ Yeldon have both played well when they're in that starter role. But as of right now, they're kind of the backups, so I didn't feel like noting them. If they were meant to be starters, they probably would have won a job somewhere by now, rather than playing second fiddle. So anyways, I only gave your team 6 points in my scale, and that was good for, this is Futbuckers. You were 10th in the league, at 10th out of 12 with 6 points. You were tied with someone else, but I gave the other person the edge, so... Yep, I gave you 6 points. Your Dynasty ER point average was 71.4. So I don't know Josh, where's that rank on the thing? 11th. Okay, so I've got you at 10th. Dynasty ER has you at 11th.
And you're on 10th on mine as well.
So I definitely see potential on your team, but I don't know. We're not feeling it right now. I guess I can. You just want me to take Brett Squared here, Josh?
Please.
Very cool dynasty name. Someone somewhere probably has a very similar dynasty name.
Well,
for
it's
their
actually Brett and Brett.
Team.
It's actually Brett and Brett, but I didn't like it, so I changed it for him.
Oh, so you changed it to the name that you made fun of. Okay, just want to make sure that we understand that. I'll kill you. Anyways, DeAndre Hopkins is at the top of the Dynasty ER list. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins is a beast. Julio Jones is also up there. So you've got 2 solid wide receivers right off the bat. Dynasty ER has Corey Davis that ranked 3rd for some reason. Evan Ingram is next. And then Mark Ingram, Mike Williams, Michael Crabtree, James Washington, Alex Collins. Those kind of round out that top, however many people it was. As far as my rankings, I threw a 2 at DeAndre Hopkins, and I threw a 2 at Julio Jones. I mean, those guys are both studs. What can you really say about it? Neither of them are old, or that old at least, especially in receiver years, so they've got plenty of time to score a lot of points for you. I did not give a point to Corey Davis. I gave a point to Evan Ingram, though. I almost didn't give a point to Mark Ingram just because he's getting up there in age, but the dude's an absolute vulture. So as long as he is on that goal line and not suspended or taking a nap during the game, he'll be getting you touchdowns for at least the next couple of years. Mike Williams, obviously he was out last year, but he's had a good camp, and if anyone watched the San Diego game, he definitely had some chemistry there with Phillip Rivers. Certainly there's a lot of mouths to fill there in in Los Angeles for the Chargers. Keenan Allen, Travis Benjamin, Melvin Gordon, Austin Eckler, whatever their backup running back's name is. So he'll be competing for sure, but I like the way he looked. And then I threw a point to James Washington just because I saw he looked really good in preseason, in my opinion. So as long as he gets time on the field, I think he can be great in maybe a couple years. Yeah.
I mean, I agreed with Garlic on DeAndre and Julio. I gave them both 3s. Excuse me. They're both, they're both proven assets. Julio DeAndre is still young. Julio is, he's not up there in age, but, he's hitting that kind of peak of his career. So who knows how he's going to handle that. I know he's had some nagging injuries in the past, and touchdown production isn't there, but when you put up 160 yards with 10 catches, who cares? A touchdown would be nice, but you're already getting enough points. Corey Davis is someone that I'm high on. I liked him last year as a rookie. He had some nagging injuries before the season, so he never really got healthy. But he's done. I mean, this year in one game already, he's done quite solid, and I only see that improving. I see him being a really solid dynasty asset in the years to come. I think he's already the number 1 in Tennessee. Evan Ingram, he was the only pass catcher last year. I gave him a 1. Mark Ingram, I gave a 1. I agreed with Garlic's take on Mike Williams. There's a lot of mouths to feed, and he forgot to list Hunter Henry on there.
I'm eating a cheese stick.
But I do think Mike Williams is going to get his when it's all said and done. I like James Washington. I agreed. He had a solid preseason. I think that he's going to be that number 3 guy for a while until Antonio Brown retires, and then who knows what happens to him there. But if there's ever an injury to Juju or Antonio, James is going to step in and kill it. Alex Collins, I like a lot. He's still young. I think he's found his calling in Baltimore there. I like Mike Gesicki a lot. I gave him a 1. Dion Lewis, I like as a pass catcher in Miami. He proved that on Sunday by scoring a touchdown. And I think that trend is going to continue. I don't think Derrick Henry is going to be that bell cow down there. So Dion Lewis is going to get his, especially in a PPR or half-point PPR league. Kenny Stills, he's proving he can be a number 1 there. I also gave John Kelly a 1, just because, he's great. If Todd Gurley ever went down, John Kelly is going to I think he's going to do what James Conner did with Le'Veon Bell.
Have you watched film on this guy? How much do you know about John Kelly, really?
Well, it's a very basic name. John is very basic, so I'm just guessing.
So when you say you really like him a lot, you don't actually know anything about him.
Is he white?
No.
I'm just kidding. No, I saw enough in the preseason to know that he can tote his own. But in that offense as well, who knows? And then Antonio Callaway, I gave a 1. He's the 3rd lowest ranked on your thing, but if he gets his head out of his ass, I think he's going to be pretty solid in Cleveland. He's not going to be, Julio Jones or DeAndre Hopkins, but I think he's going to be one of those guys that surprises as a late round draft pick. He has first round talent, but he's a bonehead. my ranking, I gave you a 17, which puts you at 4th on my list. And then Dynasty ER had your average at 76.5, which is going to be 3rd on their list. So fairly close as to what I said, and even what Garlic said. So
Yep, I had you at 5th. I think the big drawback, like you were tied with others, and the reason I didn't put you higher is because you have great receivers, but your 2 quarterbacks are Tyrod Taylor and Mason Rudolph. I very much questioned that strategy. And quarterback's a crucial position in fantasy football, and they score you the most points every year despite where they're drafted. So, yeah. If anything, I'd give negative points to your quarterbacks.
All right, moving on. 2 girlies, 1 cup. Still no girlies on the team, I want to point out.
No cups on the team either.
Yeah, no, I wanted to change your team name for you, but I couldn't think of anything in time. And so the top of your list, AJ Green, and granted, this is the auto draft team, so I will put that out there up front. AJ Green, Gronk, Doug Baldwin, Cortland Sutton, Larry Fitz, Tom Brady, Delaney Walker, Pierre Garçon, Drew Brees, Tyler Fart, Jordy Nelson, Blake Bartles, John Brown. That's going to be your top 11, 12. I don't even know. Not necessarily the most ideal team, I'm guessing, to whoever took over. But I mean, you do have some you do have some assets for a win now team, such as AJ Green, Gronk. Well, maybe not Baldwin now, but Fitz.
R.I.P. in peace.
You got Tom Brady. Delaney Walker was next, but I mean, you got Gronk. So I gave you a 12 on my ranking system. I'll let Garlic talk before we kind of explain where that lands.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, Josh went through the team. AJ, I mean, this was the auto drafted team. So whoever the new owner is now, you can't really hold that against them. They're just inheriting the team that the other fucker auto drafted didn't even show up for. So AJ Green, I did not give a point to. I gave Gronk 1 point. I want to give Gronk 2 points. But like, I think I said this a lot during our actual draft. That dude could be in a WWE ring by the time the season's over, if not sooner. So, his commitment, I mean, the dude's a beast. He's an athletic beast, but obviously he's more of a party boy, quote unquote, and that doesn't really jive with kind of what Bill Belichick does in New England, kind of as an all business type person. So Gronk is a beast, but I only gave him 1 point. I didn't give a point to Doug Baldwin or Cortland Sutton. I gave a point to Larry Fitz. Again, dude's a beast, just getting old. However, I'm kind of a hypocrite here because I gave 2 points to both Tom Brady and Drew Brees. I don't have anything else to say than just those guys are studs. I mean, Drew Brees put up like 30, 35 points just this week, Josh, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a stat that he had 400 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and in his career he's 5-4 when he puts up that stat line, and the rest of the NFL is like 48-4. So he gets boned by his defense.
Yeah, I mean, when you're putting up numbers like that, it's usually because your team sucks, but I guess that's not the case for anyone who isn't Drew Brees. That's honestly a surprising stat to me. But and so I gave 2 points to Tom Brady and Drew Brees each, and then I didn't give a point to anyone else on your team except for Jared Cook. And really the only reason I threw Jared Cook a point is because I kind of liked him, but then he had some downtime in Green Bay, and then last year he didn't really do anything in Oakland. But the dude was getting the ball last night. So if that continues in the John Gruden offense, Jared Cook is definitely worth a start, I'd say, every week. But I guess we'll have to see if that was more of a situational type game plan where they wanted to really feed Jared Cook just against the Rams, or if that's going to be a staple every week. So what team is this again? 2 Gurley's, 1 Cup. So I gave you 7 points. And that ranks 8th on my list. You were tied with 2 others at 7 points, but I put you dead last just because of how old your team is. Josh, you can explain the rest of the rankings.
Yeah, I mean, I gave AJ Green a 2. I mean, some notables that I gave 1s, maybe not on the top of the list, but John Brown, I think he's going to do well in Baltimore there. And then Spencer Ware, people tend to forget that, he actually was a solid running back in Kansas City before Kareem Hunt showed up. So if anything happens to Kareem Hunt, he's going to do fine. If he hits free agency and a team needs him, he might not be that lead back in wherever he goes, but he can contribute. I believe he got some touches on Sunday as well. And so, I gave him a point, maybe just a pity point there. But you finish with an 11 on my scale, putting you in 12th place, unfortunately.
Say 11. That's pretty low for your liberal scale over there, Josh. 11?
Yeah.
Almost single digits.
Right. No, it is. But then if it makes you feel any better, helps you sleep at night, Dynasty ER's average for you was 73.2. And that is good enough to get you in 8th. And I'm going to point out, for those of you who are below this team and are laughing and saying these guys know nothing, it's because he has 6 quarterbacks on roster, and all of the quarterbacks have an 80 or higher, or 70 or higher. So
Quarterbacks get points, dude. I'm just saying,
Yeah, but you only start 1 quarterback. You don't start 5. We're not playing in a 2 QB league.
Well, you're the one who imported the points for every single player instead of just their starters, Josh. I don't know what you want. Oh, wow.
Great radio. But yeah, so moving on to Dalton Abbey, and we understand, we want to empathize that you're a Bengal fan. I mean, you won on Sunday, so great.
Yeah, they won.
So good job there. I don't think I mentioned that Dalton Abbey, Downtown Abbey. I get the reference. I like it. So good on you. Your team looks pretty stacked at the top.
No Andy Dalton on the team, though, so I just want to throw that out there. Sorry, continue.
Oh, yeah, no, never mind. We're going to skip you then. No, I'm just kidding. David Johnson, he's pretty good, I guess. Le'Veon Bell's all right. Devontae Adams, my opinion, one of the top 3 dynasty assets for wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers. You're probably sweating a little bit on Sunday as well. Carlos Hyde, Michael Gallup, Chris Godwin, Kenyon Drake. Not so high on Josh Rosen, but he's there. Christian Kirk, Donta Foreman, Hayden Hurst, Julian Edelman, Greg Olson, Chad Williams. I mean, yeah, your team looks solid from what I'm looking at here. I gave David Johnson a 3. Le'Veon, Devontae, and Aaron all got 2s. Some guys that got 1s that might not, might surprise people. Chad Williams, he's the number 2 in Arizona there. At wideout, Chris Carson, I really like a lot. Even though they got Rashad Penny, I think Chris Carson's, someone to keep an eye on. And then Philip Dorsett, who's been, he apparently has a rapport with Tom Brady after Sunday.
Yeah, I guess this is the part where I talk now. So, like Josh went through the players, I gave David Johnson 1 point. Le'Veon Bell, I gave a 2. With David Johnson, the only reason I didn't give him a 2 is obviously the guy has been a stud. It hurt him in my truthiness, in my gut. It hurt David Johnson to be out last year, and then it also hurt him to just see what little production he got out of Week 1. We'll talk. I plan on talking about this tomorrow on a regular pod. But Week 1 games can obviously be fluky, and Week 1 games are not always a good reflection of what the season holds. But if Arizona does not plan on feeding this man 80 times a game, they're fools. So that worried me a little bit. That's why I only threw David Johnson to 1, is because that kind of made me uncertain of what his future production will be. Le'Veon Bell, obviously that guy's off the field right now, but when he's on the field, just an absolute beast. Aaron Rodgers, I threw a 1. Not because he's not talented, but just because, again, with the injury, obviously he missed some time last year, and there was definitely some question marks on Sunday. Obviously you hope the dude's healthy. Definitely probably the most talented quarterback in the league, but I just threw a 1 just because to me there's a big question mark. And then out of all the other players, I didn't really throw a point to anyone other than Julian Edelman. I threw him a point just because he's probably Brady's favorite target on that team. So once he comes back from suspension, he'll be getting fed again. And the dude's talented. He's made some spectacular catches. But anyways, I only threw you 5 points, which was only good for 11th in the league, second to last, Mr. Dalton Abbey. And then, Josh, I'll let you take the rest of the rankings.
Don't worry, Mr. Abbey. Your 19 points of mine got you first on my list. So obviously Garlic and I have some I'm too
differences of opinion.
I'm drinking right now, so I apologize. And so I was hoping to turn to Dynasty ER and have them help my case. But Dynasty ER has you at 9th. And a lot of the reason is because the bottom of your roster is really dragging you down. Once you hit Rob Kelly, it's 56, 54, 49, 40, and 39. And so your average is 72.7. But I think that the top of your roster, if Le'Veon Bell comes back, and even if he doesn't, you have Carlos Hyde. David Johnson, RB1. Le'Veon Bell, RB2. Devontae Adams, wide receiver 1. Michael Gallup, I think he's going to turn into wide receiver 2 for you. Aaron Rodgers, he's going to play till he's 65, I hope. And so, your team is solid. Don't let fools like Garlic tell you otherwise.
I mean, you can call me a fool, but that Dynasty ER was definitely leading way more my direction than they were yours. So, whatever, man. The truthness doesn't lie. So up next we got, is the team name officially Alex Smith first round? It was Chiefs Stop Blues, but
I think it's Alex Smith first round. So yes, more broken English here.
all right, Josh, I'm going to take the lead this time. Jesus. So on the top of your roster is, why are you staring at me?
You're beautiful.
Aw. So again, these are all ranked by Dynasty ER. Leonard Fournette tops off the list. Joe Mixon second. Travis Kelce third. Golden Tate 4th, Robert Woods 5th, Jared Goff 6th, Jameson Crowder 7th, George Kittle 8th, Kevin Benjamin, Mr. Buffet himself 9th, and then Marlon Mack 10th. I gave 1 point to Leonard Fournette. The dude's a beast, but he doesn't have a lot of production in the passing game, and so we're a half-point PPR this league, Josh? Is that correct?
See.
All right, so that hurts you a little bit. Plus, he missed some time last week. You hope he doesn't become one of those injury-prone players. He definitely wasn't last year, but it puts a question mark in my truth in his gut rankings. I did not give a point to Joe Mixon just because the guy might end up in jail before he can be any good.
What are you talking about?
He beat his girlfriend, Josh.
First off, it wasn't his girlfriend. Second off, screw you.
So I did not give a point to him. He could be great in Cincinnati, but that team I think is in turmoil, and there's going to be a lot of turnover in coaching sooner than later. So his future's unclear just because that organization's unclear. Hi, Nikita. Nikita's home. That's Josh's beautiful wife. So I gave a point to Kelsey. I did not give another point until George Kittle. And then I gave a point all the way down to Cole Beasley, which is ranked like whatever that is, 20th on this list. But so yeah, I only gave you 4 points. That's dead last in my truthiness gut rankings. I gave 1 point to Leonard Fournette, 1 point to Travis Kelce, 1 point to George Kittle, and then 1 point to Cole Beasley just because he's Dak's favorite target. So you're dead last on my list, but we'll let Josh try and defend you. Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, Cole Beasley may be Dak's favorite target, but Dak needs to learn how to hit his targets for it to matter. I gave Leonard Fournette 2 on mine. I'm a big fan of Joe Mixon. I gave him a 2, as well as Travis Kelce. Joe Mixon he was victim of just a bad offensive line, a bad offense last year. And so I'm sure Dalton Abbey is going to be happy when Joe Mixon steps on he stepped on the field last year and did well.
Did the offensive line get any better in the offseason?
Yeah, it's better than it was last year.
Okay.
I can't tell you who they added, but I know that they added people.
How do you know it's better? You keep throwing out all these facts that I question as facts.
Well, if they're facts, then just don't question them. But he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run. He had solid college production. He started to turn it on last year. And so I have faith in him. And I'm saying that because I also have him in another league, so maybe it's just hope. But then, Golden Tate, he's solid. Robert Woods is solid. Both of those guys, I think, fly under the radar on a lot of people. I think Jared Goff is going to turn heads. George Kittle might actually be one of those guys that turns into kind of a Gronk 2.0, maybe not that high of a level, but I think he's very athletic. He dropped, his numbers this last week were solid, but he dropped it what could have been a very long touchdown. And so if he would have caught that, it could have been a whole different story. Kelvin Benjamin, I gave a 1 just because his goal line production in the past has been solid. He just needs to, like Garlic said, lay off the buffet. Marlon Mack, I think he could produce. I gave Jake Butt a 1 because of his name. I think he missed all of last season, and so they're going to work him in slowly, I feel, get him kind of used to the system. But tight ends always take a while to develop in systems. John Ross got a 1 just because of his speed, to be honest. Speed kills in the NFL. Tyreek Hill proved that on Sunday. And so if he were to ever kind of utilize that speed, be able to catch a ball, and the game plan for him, I think he can pan out. Matt Breida and Peyton Barber got 1s just because of injuries and of the guys in front of them, and their production this season. So overall, you got a 16 on my scale, which brought you into 8th place on mine. But then you get a 70.2 on Dynasty ER, which is 12th place or last.
I don't want to say my gut seems to be more accurate than whatever your head's got going on, Josh, but just saying.
Weren't you just saying earlier that you didn't trust this ranking system either?
I mean, I trust it when it's convenient for me, Josh. I pick the facts I like, and I do fuck the facts I don't.
All right. Colm's team, you're next. Garlic, do you want to take it off so I can eat?
Sure, yeah. Josh's beautiful wife brought Josh home some Taco John's, which sounds fucking delicious, and my mouth's watering just smelling it. But Colm's team, Dalvin Cook is his best player, ranked by Dynasty ER. Next is Melvin Gordon. After that, it's Jarvis Landry, Brandon Cooks, T.Y. Hilton, Sammy Watkins, Carson Wentz, Jameis Winston for some fucking reason, O.J. Howard, Nick Chubb. Josh, I can hear your rappers, and they're making me more hungry. I think I said Nick Chubb and then Naeem Hines, not Himes, is next. So Dalvin Cook, I threw a point to. Obviously, the question mark was whether or not he can stay healthy for a full season, so I gave him 1 instead of 2. But when he's been on the field, he's looked really good. Melvin Gordon, that dude got. I'm trying to make the goal of myself to watch every San Diego game this year. Probably won't happen because there'll be some scheduling conflicts. But Melvin Gordon was getting absolutely fed on Sunday. That dude was getting the ball every which way, passing game, running game. So that puts some question marks on durability. If he's getting that many touches, like Le'Veon Bell level touches, maybe he gets hurt because of all the production that they're kind of forcing his way. But if the dude can stay healthy, that dude is gonna be a dynasty starter every week forever. T.Y. Hilton is the next person I gave a point to. I skipped over Jarvis Landry and Brandon Cooks. I just threw 1 point to T.Y. just because he has such good chemistry with Luck. I threw 2 points on Carson Wentz just because obviously I feel like I say this with every single player, but there's injury question marks, but the dude was a beast last year. And so that was the last person I gave points to based on my gut rankings. That only gave you 6 points, which ranks Colm's team. You are 9th on my list at 6 points. You tied with someone else, but I gave you the tiebreaker just for whatever reason, my gut mainly. But so Colm, 6 points. Josh, you're up.
All right. Sorry, I'm eating dinner here. I gave Dalvin Cook 2 points, Melvin Gordon 2 points. Similar reasons as Garlic pointed out. Melvin Gordon was getting fed on Sunday. Passing game, running game, the works.
I think he was playing safety for a couple snaps too, so maybe pick 6 in there.
Very possible. I mean, he might have played D-line with Joey Bosa out. Anyways, Philip Rivers is getting old. He has 42 kids he has to take care of, so when he retires to do that, that offense is still going to rely on that run game, and so it could turn into what we saw in Minnesota with a run-first offense, pass on 3rd down, punt on 4th. And so I like Melvin I like Melvin Gordon's future in Minnesota. Dalvin Cook, I gave it 2. He had that injury last year, but I'm going to Garlic's been mentioning injuries and how they factor into his scale. We've talked about it in the past. Yes, they are something to keep in mind, but when it comes to those ligament injuries like the ACL, bone breaks, things like that, I don't necessarily consider them as much of a concern as those soft tissue injuries, similar to what like Julio Jones and Stephon Diggs experience with their thighs and their toes, because I know Julio Jones has toe injuries all the time. And so those soft tissue injuries are the ones that kind of concern me the most. I give Jarvis, Brandon, and T.Y. all 1s. They've all been able to produce in offenses. Brandon Cooks is on his 3rd different offense right now. I don't know what he did yesterday. It was way past my bedtime to watch that game. But I feel like they wouldn't have paid that much money for a guy they're just going to let watch the game on the sideline. T.Y. Struggled last season, but Andrew Luck's back. That's why he gets a 1. Hopefully he can produce. Carson Wentz gets a 2 because I mean, what he did last year, just kind of his leadership in that offense. When he comes back, I'm expecting him to kind of pick it up right where he left off. O.J. Howard got a 1. I think he's going to be, I know I mentioned the last team that, who was it? One of the tight ends. One of the tight ends I mentioned being the next Gronk, OJ Howard is probably actually going to be a little bit closer to that comparison just because he is a pass-catching tight end. I gave Nick Chubb a 1. I liked him coming out of college. He was one that I actually expected to come out 2 years ago. It's unfortunate he's in the Browns offense, but he has Carlos Hyde in front of him to kind of show him the way, and hopefully he can do something the next year or two. Kenny Golladay, I gave it 2. Which is kind of, Garlic's giving me that whole "were you high" face.
No, you look like you're struggling over there talking. I don't know if you got some Taco John stuck in your throat or what's going on. You just look like you're struggling.
Well, there's half a taco next to me, and I'm really debating on eating it while I'm talking.
I'm going to come fucking eat it if you don't.
But I gave Kenny Golladay 2. Matt Stafford throwing the ball, pass-first offense. I mean, they haven't had 69 giggity straight games without a 100-yard rusher. Kenny, and he had great, I think he had a solid season last year, and I think he's going to have a great season this year. DJ Chark won. It's Chark week. He's just got to find a quarterback that can throw the ball. Traquan Smith, he turned heads in the preseason. I expect him to do that in the regular season. I think he was the starter, if not a starter. He was on the field quite a bit on Sunday. And then Chase Edmonds, I gave a 1 only because whenever I was checking the game cast on Sunday for David Johnson, he was getting the ball. So I was pissed, but he still got a 1. I gave you a 16. Which team name? And on my scale, that's tied for 5th. I have you at 7th because I didn't want to rank you ahead of us.
Nice.
But Dynasty ER had you at 77.4 average, so second in our league. And I could honestly, looking at your team, I can definitely see that and where they're getting those, how that is. You got a lot of young talent on your team. Cock knocker?
I assume that means you want me to talk about it so you can go back to eating, or all right. So cock knocker. We have a lot of sexual innuendo team names here. I don't know. I don't think so. Josh, there's going to be a little sidebar, a little digression here. So the classic method of coming up with your team name is just taking a player or two from your team and trying to make a pun out of that player's name. I don't know, has anyone in this league done it? Like, I've seen a lot of sexual innuendos in the team names. I've seen punny player team names, but those people don't have those players on their team, like Dalton Abbey. There's not Andy Dalton on his team. The 2 girlies, 1 cup. That he doesn't have girly or cup on his team. So I don't want to say I'm disappointed in this league, but what the fuck's going on here?
It's a free Reddit league. What do you expect?
I don't know. It's a dynasty league. They clearly expected to be putting multiple. Oh, did your audio go out?
No, you just sound like a tin man.
Oh, yeah, that's what was happening to me before. It doesn't affect the actual production, but it's going to sound awful in your ear. So I can try and fix it if you want.
Nah, I'm used to listening to annoying voices.
So, yeah, but anyways, do you have anything to add to my digression before I break down this team, Josh? Or?
Nope, go ahead and break it down.
Okay, so team names, or not team names, but the team itself. Ezekiel. All right, here, Josh. It won't stop recording on Audacity. It should be fixed now. It's not fixed? Really? That's what fixed it for me. That's weird. All right. Anyways, so Ezekiel Elliott, and then Mike Evans, Amari Cooper. Were the top 3 according to Dynasty ER. I gave them each a point. Zeke, question marks, just because they don't have a game that isn't a run game. Mike Evans, Jameis Winston's throwing to him, allegedly. Amari Cooper, again, question marks at quarterback. Derek Carr, I guess, is the solid of those 3, but still just 1 point. And then the next person I gave points to is Deshaun Watson. I threw him 2, which might be generous after yesterday's performance, or not yesterday, but Sunday's performance. But I'm hoping that guy bounces back. Playing the Patriots is always tough. I threw a point to Cooper Kupp, and I threw a point to Tyreek Cohen. I guess I don't think I ever listed like your top 10 or whatever, but it was Ezekiel Elliott, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, Rojo, which Rojo was a healthy scratch on Sunday, so that's not good. Royce Freeman, Devontae Parker, Deshaun Watson, Cooper Kupp, Devin Funchess, Dante Pettis, Tyreek Cohen. That's 10. I can't count. But so, that was pretty much all the players I gave a point to. And then I threw a point all the way down to Austin Eckler, which we talked about earlier, that backup running back in, I keep on saying San Diego, but on the Chargers, he was getting fed too. He was getting his own. So as far as points breakdown, I gave you 8 points on my truthiness gut scale, which was good for 4th in the league. So 8 points got you 4th. Not bad. Pretty solid team. Would probably lose to you if we played you. So Josh, take her away.
Sorry, I got cheese sauce on my computer.
Oh my God.
But Zeke, yeah, I gave him a 3. He's touted as one of the best running backs to come out of the draft in a few years. They say that every year about a running back, though. After how many 100-yard games he's had in a row, though, I'd have to agree. Mike Evans, I gave a 2. I did him in a redraft league. Hated him as my wide receiver 1, but he had 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns last season, so it's not like it's just the situation that surrounds him. He had a great game on Sunday. Hopefully he can continue that production. Amari Cooper, I gave a 1. I almost dropped that number, just like he drops footballs, but he has in the past proven he can be good. Part of the reason I feel he struggles is just I don't like Derek Carr. I said it.
Ooh, hot take here, Josh. What about Derek Carr? Don't you like?
I don't think he's that good of a quarterback.
Ooh,
but Royce Freeman, I gave a 1. Devontae Parker, Deshaun Watson, Cooper Kupp, Devin Funchess, Dante Pettis, Tariq Cohen, Austin Eckler. Tariq Cohen might actually deserve a 2 on how I feel about him.
A 2.
I think he's very solid out of the backfield. I know they said Jordan Howard is going to be that. He's going to be a 3-down back, but Jordan Howard can't, as I say, he can't catch a cold in the winter. So I do like, I do like those guys. Deshaun Watson, I gave a 1. Garlic gave a 2. Everybody's high on Deshaun Watson. He struggled a bit on Sunday, and I'm really hoping he turns it around. I'm not rooting against him, but he had 5 games last season. Yes, he did do great. Not many teams had film on him, so you'll see that with young guys. Not necessarily quarterbacks, but players who have rookies that are playing, don't have much film on what's going on. He came in after a Tom Savage-led offense, and he just kind of, he killed it. But he got hurt, he came back, and he struggled, so I gave him a 1. You got 14 on my scale, and so the cock knockers on the Josh rankings, 11th. Jesus, Kaya. But cock knockers, and I just love saying your name, by the way. Dynasty ER gave you a 74.1, which puts you in 7th, kind of middle of the pack on theirs.
Yeah. Josh, by the way, your headphones should work again. Oh, that's great podcasting, but Josh, I'm kind of taking the last 2 teams, so I'll give you a second. I'll vamp here and give you a second to recombobulate yourself, but I would appreciate if you took the lead on this next team, just so they don't hear me constantly over and over again. How's that sound, Josh? How's that sound?
Sounds better.
Yeah.
So check my balls. I changed your team name as well, just by making it M-A instead of M-Y. And so you have Antonio Brown. I've heard of him. Christian McCaffrey, Adam Thielen, Elshon, Jay Ajayi, Kirk Cousins, Kerryon Johnson, Kyle Rudolph, Sammy D, D.D. Westbrook, Matt Ryan, Trey Burton, Kiki Kuti. I could keep going, but I'm not. And so, I mean, obviously, Antonio Brown rounds out the top. I mean, I love Antonio Brown. My wife will sit here and tell you all about how good Antonio Brown is all day, all night, if she could. She likes to point out the fact that she liked him as a rookie, and that was her favorite player back then. She has a jersey from then. But I gave him a 3 on my scale, one of those, you need to have, even if he is up there in age. He keeps himself in great shape. He's never hurt. And then he always produces. I think he's been top 3 wide receiver in Dynasty or in fantasy for the last 5 years now. Christian McCaffrey, I gave a 2. I gave some of the other guys 1s on your team. I gave further down on your list, I gave Geronimo, Latavius, and James Conner all 1s. They're kind of the bottom third of your team. reason for that is Geronimo is the number 3 in Green Bay. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a solid production year similar to when Cobb was young, and he was the number 3 guy. Latavius Murray, I think he's pretty solid. He's kind of that change of pace back in Minnesota, despite not necessarily being a change of pace. He's still kind of a similar running style, but he gets his touches. And then James Conner, for as long as Le'Veon's out, he's probably worth a 2, especially after what he did on Sunday. But I gave him a 1 just because it's still, until further notice, Le'Veon's team.
What is wrong with you, Josh?
I have to burp.
Oh, God. All right, so yeah, I gave Antonio Brown 2 points. Obviously, guy's a stud. Christian McCaffrey, I threw a point. Adam Thielen, I threw a point. Jay Ajayi, I threw a point. Kirk Cousins, I threw a point. And Sam Darnold, I threw a point. And then, like Josh said, I usually my points are in the top half of the list, but then all the way down, it's like the 4th to last player, James Conner. I threw a 2, just because. I mean, obviously it was the Browns, so you have to throw that asterisk on there. But James Conner looked good. I mean, if it wasn't for cancer, that guy probably would have been a 1st-round draft pick. So, I mean, that team, if James Conner can continue to produce the way he has, I mean, which I guess is just one game, so I should calm down, but that team could easily move on from Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, James Conner's not even in the same conversation as Le'Veon Bell, but you don't always need a Le'Veon Bell on your team. Sometimes a James Conner will suffice if your team's good enough in other places.
Well, apparently they're not good enough. They tied the 0-16 Browns.
I think that's more of a Big Ben problem than a James Conner problem, though.
True. But, I mean, you knocked the Browns' defense, but that was the only thing they had going for them last year. Their defense is good.
Their defense is good. They still went 0 for last year, Josh, and they haven't won yet this year, so that's all I got.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fine. But I wouldn't necessarily knock his performance against the Browns.
Oh, I'm sorry, Josh, I'm going to interrupt you. I gave you 9 points in my ranking, which was actually good for first. So I kind of ragged on your team a little bit, but you were the best team in the league for me. Sorry, Josh.
And I gave you a 15. And so 15 is good enough for 9th in my rankings. But I do think that there are some players on your team that didn't get points that could have gotten points on mine. So, and that goes for every team that I've talked about so far. And then Dynasty ER gave you 74.8, and that is good enough for a 5th. Moving on, should we move on to the champion?
The future champion. I'm willing to hear about the future championship team.
Yeah. So the
undefeated currently.
Yeah, the undefeated heavyweight champion of the world. Us.
Emphasis on the heavyweight on this side of the table, but
but no, just kidding with you guys. I mean, I didn't give any of our players a 3. Michael Thomas, Kareem Hunt, Zach Ertz, Josh Garden, Hunter Henry, Cam Meredith, Duke Johnson, Nelson Aguilar, Lamar Miller, Dallas Goedert, Aaron Jones, Patrick Mahomes. That's our top half. Obviously, Michael Thomas balled out on Sunday. He did solid. I gave him a 2. Same with Kareem Hunt and Zach Ertz. I don't know how long Zach Ertz is actually going to be in Philly, just because his contract once hits up. Dallas Goedert is a stud. He had a nice, what could have been a catch on the sideline, but he didn't get his feet down. He got pushed. Garlic, how high am I on Josh Gordon? Am I as high as him between 2014 and 2017?
Josh, honestly wish you would shut the fuck up about Josh Gordon most of the time, but I don't think that'll ever happen. So
nope. So I'm a big fan of him. Yet I only gave him a 1 on our roster just because he has that shaky past. I mean, it's just a feel-good story if he turns it around, comes out and does well. Hunter Henry, he's got a 1. I was really excited to look. Or I was really looking forward to watching him play this year. I think that if he would have played. Or if he would be playing this year, I'd have given him a 2. Cam Meredith is up there on our list. He didn't even play. I think he was a healthy scratch. I read somewhere today that it was more of a preemptive kind of worry. They were worried about it, so they didn't want to risk it. Nelson Aguilar, I think he can do work. I know he had that drop issue in the beginning of his career, but so did Devonta Adams, and look where he is now. So Nelson Aguilar could be good. Lamar Miller is that bell cow that no one wants. He's a 3-down back, but he always gets kind of passed by just because he's been on shaky offenses and he doesn't ever do those big flashy plays. I consider him kind of the young Frank Gore. So you know what they say, and I hope it wasn't this group that listened to it, but if you need 8 points, Lamar Miller is going to get you 8 points. If you need 24 points, Lamar Miller is going to get you 8 points.
I don't remember hearing that ever, but.
And then, some guys down lower on our list that I really like, Keelan Cole. The guy like shaking his head because I've been talking this guy up for a while.
No fucking reason. What did he do on Sunday?
What did he do? First off,
what did he do on Sunday? It was a simple question.
4 catches, 50-some yards.
Those are rookie numbers. I could do that.
Could you?
Yeah, I could try.
All right.
Am I being schemed? Am I being schemed wide open?
Yep.
All right, then yeah, I can do that.
But I gave us. I mean, on ours, I gave us a 16. You can call it homerism if you want. That's good enough for 6th on my rankings, though.
Yeah. So I threw 1 point to Michael Thomas. The only reason, the guy did great on Sunday. I'm just never really sold on a Saints receiver. I feel like there's plenty of turnover there, and similar to Tom Brady, I think Drew Brees just kind of picks out a guy week to week, and so that isn't always going to be Michael Thomas, no matter how talented he is. Kareem Hunt I threw 2-2. Just because the guy's good. It's a young offense, and I probably only would have given him a 1 because I personally had questions about Patrick Mahomes going into the season. A lot of those questions were definitely quelled. I don't know if that's a proper use of that term, but a lot of those questions were went away because I thought Patrick Mahomes looked really good on Sunday. Zach Ertz I threw a point to. The guy's good, but he's a tight end. You can only get so much production at that position. It's not like he's speeding down the field every play. Duke Johnson I threw a point to just because I like his versatility. The guy's on the field whether he's a running back or a receiver. There's too many question marks on that team, on the Browns offense, but Duke Johnson's a solid. I don't say he's similar to Lamar Miller, but Duke Johnson's probably going to get you some points every week. It's just kind of a question mark on how he gets them. And then the only other player I gave points to on our team was Patrick Mahomes. I threw him a 2 just because I thought the dude looked absolutely great on Sunday. So he probably won't play that well every week, and he's not worth the 2. But if he can play at 75% of that for the next 8 seasons, the dude is a solid dynasty player and probably an automatic starter, even though we started Phillip Rivers this week. So I gave us 7 points total in my Truthiness Gut ranking system, which was good for 7th in the league. There's 3 people tied with 7 points, and I put us in the middle of those 3. So I got us at 7th in the league, Josh. I don't know about you.
I have us at 6th, and Dynasty ER has us at 6th as well with 74.6 on their average scale there. So that's everybody in the league. If you don't like our analysis of your team, well,
then fuck off.
Exactly. But so now we can kind of run through so everybody can hear all in a row. So we can all start trash talking in the Slack. I'll start with my rankings. I had Dalton Abbey in 1st with 19. Touchdown My Pants in 2nd with 18. Bears Fan in 3rd with 17. Brett and Brett 4th with 17. Erect Dicker in 5th with 16. Hidden Oaks, us, in 6th with 16. Colm's team in 7th with 16. Alex Smith, 1st round, 8th with 16. Check My Balls in 9th with 15. Buttbuckers in 10th with 15. Cockknockers in 11th with 14. And 2 Girlies, 1 Cup in 12th with 12.
Yeah. So I got Check My Balls in 1st with 9 points. I got Bears Fan in 2nd with 9 points. Erect Dicker in 3rd with 8 points. Cockknockers in 4th with 8 points. Brett and Brett with 8 points in 5th place. TD My Pants in 6th with 7 points. Hidden Oaks in 7th place with 7 points. 2 Girlies 1 Cup in 8th place with 7 points. Colm's team in 9th place with 6 points. Buckers in 10th place with 6 points. Dalton Abbey in 11th with 5 points. And then Alex Smith 1st round in 12th with 4 points. And people can question my rankings, but we're undefeated, and the Alex Smith team that I have in last, we beat him this week, so that guy hasn't won the game this year. Jesus Christ, get it together. So Josh, do we have anything else to talk about? We did a deep dive on the teams. Is there anything else these people wanted?
They just heard our ranking scale. We could run through. I have Dynasty ERs from 1st to 12th if they'd rather just listen to what the professionals say.
We have a podcast, Josh. We are the professionals.
They have a podcast too.
Shut the fuck up, Josh. Goddamn.
But so Dynasty ER, Erect Dicker in 1st with 78.4. Colm's team in second with 77.4. Brett and Brett third with 76.5. Touchdown My Pants fourth with 75. Check My Balls in fifth with 74.8. Us in sixth with 74.6. Cockknockers in seventh with 74.1. Two Girlies, One Cup, or No Girlies, No Cup in eighth with 73.2. Dalton Abbey in ninth with 72.7. A tie. Bears Fan, 10th with 72.7. Futchbuckers in 11th with 71.4. And Alex Smith, first round, in 12th with 70.2.
Yeah. So we won't go sit here and break down the matchups because that's not what this podcast is for. But Hidden Oaks, we won. Rex Dicker won. Jono's Burtons, someone must have changed their team name. They won. Dalton Abbey won. Touchdown My Pants won. And Brett and Brett won. So good for you guys for winning week one. Yeah, I don't know. Josh, you got anything else, boss?
I don't know if we mentioned it earlier, but in future podcasts, the one that we've been dropping out and kind of sharing with you guys, we mention the league every so often. I think we're going to try and start incorporating a little bit more discussion about it. So if you do want to pay attention, just since you guys have been great so far, that's part of the plan.
Great is an exaggeration, Josh. You want to give these guys too much credit, okay? We compete against them. Fuck those guys.
I guess. Yeah. Grr. I hate you guys.
Yeah, got them good. Yeah, trash talk.
So we'll start trying to incorporate a little bit more discussion about this league. Obviously, we don't want it to run as long as past podcasts have, and we're probably at 3.5 hours right now?
Right now, we're at 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 49 seconds.
Good Lord, I'm done.
All right. Well, you heard it, folks. Thanks for listening. Josh, thanks for having me. We'll try and talk to you on our regular podcast on a regular basis. If you want anything else from us, let us know. But you don't want to inconvenience Josh more than you have to. That guy likes to complain a lot. So I don't know how many more bonus pods we can plan out.
Wrap it up.
See, exactly. Listen to this guy. Unbelievable. Thanks for listening, everybody. What a bunch of idiots, huh? They might. Yeah, there's going to be buyers from us, I think, for sure. Yeah. Poor guy's a Bears fan. At least he has 1985. That might be the funniest thing you've ever said. Could be Bengals fan, that would be worse. Your team got destroyed by the Jets by like 38 points or 28 points. You need to reevaluate everything you do. All right, stop.